just when I thought I might get through day 3 of Lori Vallow's murder trial without my hair being en fuego, along came Lori to crush my dreams. The thrice convicted murderer put on quite a show in Arizona today. Remember, she's on trial for the murder of her 4th husband, and make no mistake, she has practiced at the art of being on trial. She already killed 2 of her kids, and for good measure, she killed the woman who was married to the guy she was sleeping with, the guy that she ended up marrying just weeks later. Today, while acting as her own lawyer, don't get me started, she played the role of jilted spouse while cross-examining a witness who turned out to be her romantic rival, and hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. It got so bad in this courtroom that the judge had to step in and play referee and even make up like a bogus reason to get the jury the heck out of the room. Where do I even begin? Listening to Lori in court today, you would think that Charles Vallow was the love of her life, instead of the man that she was trash-talking while texting with her lover and allegedly arranging for her brother to murder. So a little bit of background on what happened just in the front of that courtroom today. The woman on the witness stand, wearing the pink there, that is Nancy Jo Hancock. And it turned out that Nancy had struck up an online relationship with Lori's husband. That's Charles Vallow, the victim, the dead man in this case. And the night before Charles was killed by Lori's brother, Alex, Charles went on a date with that lady in the pink, Nancy. Up until this moment, Lori, the lawyer, has been making plenty of mistakes during her cross-examinations, but she's mostly kept her cool. And she's mostly stuck to the script. But not today. Not in a million years today. All hell broke loose when Nancy Jo took the stand and things went from 0 to Jerry Springer in seconds flat. And because I knew you would ask, I've put together the highlights, the lowlights, and pay attention to Lori's body language. And then count how often she calls Charles, the man she's cheating on, my husband.
Nancy Jo, right?
Correct.
And we have not met before, correct?
We have not.
Okay. And you stated that your husband, or my husband, told you that he was going through a divorce. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you have any way to verify that?
No, I didn't try to verify that.
Okay. So did it surprise you later to find out that we were not in the process of a divorce?
Charles was in the process of a divorce.
He was not in the process of a divorce. Did it surprise you to find that out? You've seen it all on TV where we're not getting divorced.
Okay.
So on the website that you met him, did he say he was divorced?
I'm not certain.
Would you have gone on a date with him if he would have said he was married?
If I would have realized how married he still was, maybe not. But I just met for dinner. I wasn't sleeping with him or anything.
Do you go on dates with married men?
I'm going to
Naturally?
Argumentative. And I'm going to also object under 611 for harassment.
All right. I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, do I not have a right to cross-examine this witness for what she has already testified to?
You can cross-examine her about what she's testified to.
So you did go on a date with a married man,
I went on a date with Charles.
but you did not know he was married.
I knew his divorce was not final.
His divorce was not started.
Okay.
Okay. So in your text messages, you asked Charles if he was a good kisser. Is that correct?
Maybe, sure.
Did he answer that text message?
I'm
gonna
sure.
object to
I'm sure he did.
relevance. Again, 611 harassment.
I'll sustain the objection for relevance and hearsay.
So are you trying to tell me and this jury that you went on one date with my husband and he told you all the details of our lives?
I'm telling you the truth, and that's what I know.
So you spent your whole date getting to know each other, talking about me?
Don't flatter yourself. No, we did not spend the whole time talking about you.
On your date, you talked about my husband was a life insurance salesman, is that correct?
I knew he did something with money and insurance, but I really didn't know the details of what he did for work. Like I said, I don't ask the details about what someone does for work when I'm trying to get to know someone.
But you knew that he sold life insurance, you stated that.
I believe that I had a vague understanding that he did something with insurance.
And then he brought that up again at dinner.
No, we didn't talk about his work at dinner.
I thought you said you did talk about, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you did talk about that he changed the life insurance policy at dinner.
Well, you were asking me if we talked about that he sold insurance, which that didn't happen. But yes, he did tell me that he changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy at dinner.
Did he tell you how much his life insurance policy was for?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
$1 million.
Did he tell you how much my life insurance policy was for?
I do not recall.
You don't recall?
We didn't talk about you very much in that vein.
When did you talk to him about me very much then? If it wasn't at dinner, was it in your text messages?
We were talking about what he was going through in the process of separating from you, not about what your life insurance policy was worth. And we talked about you on the phone, and when I say you, meaning what he was doing as he was going through this separation.
So let me understand. You were dating some different men on this website, right? From the websites?
Sure.
Would you say it was common for men to be talking so much about their supposed ex-wives during their conversations with a potential?
It's actually very common.
Really?
Really.
Interesting.
And again, Your Honor, I'm going to object to the defendant making comments after her questions.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I won't do that again.
All right, please stop.
I'll just ask the questions.
Thank you.
You testified a minute ago that Charles told you a lot of things about his wife. You didn't say ex-wife, but you said wife. Is that correct?
Okay, sure.
What were a lot of things?
The things that I've testified to.
Can you be more specific?
Am I allowed to do a narrative then?
Let's go on sidebar. I'll excuse the jury for just a few minutes because we're having technical difficulty with the court reporter being able to hear. The last question the defendant asked of the witness was along the lines of, what things did you discuss about me, meaning the defendant? Is that correct?
That's
Yes.
what I recall, Your Honor.
Are you sure you wanted to answer that question? Because you're opening up a really big door. If you want her to answer the question, I'll have her answer the question.
How am I supposed to know what a lot of things are?
All right. If you want her to answer the question and there's no objection from the state, we'll
No
bring
objection.
the jury back in and have her answer the question.
Yeah, Lori, like if you want her to answer the question about the things that she and your now dead husband talked about, they might have talked about the fact that you're a murderer. Maybe? I don't know. I mean, the murders did happen later, but holy cow. Lori, you're not a lawyer. You might ask a question that could really come back to bite you in the thing you keep showing the jury. I don't have any idea if there were really technical difficulties that the judge mentioned with the court reporter, but it seemed like he had to make up a fib just to get that jury out of the room and fast and protect Lori from herself. And while there's no way to know what Lori did during that little unplanned recess, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that she conferred with her actual lawyers who sit there on standby and that they told her to get over herself. Because after the break, Lori pulled it together. Same attitude, but a lot more direct in her questions.
Have you ever spoken to my brother, Adam?
Yes, but only because I ran into him at my grandson's pickleball tournament the other day.
And how did you know that was him?
Because I've seen him on media via the situation surrounding you.
So you initiated a conversation with him?
I just said hi, and he asked me who my grandson was, and I pointed it out, and that was the end of it.
So you introduced yourself to him? To my brother?
I don't know that I introduced myself, but maybe.
How would he know who you were?
I don't know that he knew who I was. I knew who he was.
So you went up and talked to him?
I did talk with him, yes.
He didn't call you over, so you went up and talked to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you were talking to him, you told him you were who?
I told him that my name was Nancy Jo Hancock.
And did he recognize that name from something?
Can I go back and change how I met your brother? I forgot this until right now. So on a dating app, your brother's picture came up on my dating app. And I sent him a message and said, but he had a different name that he used, not Adam. And so I just sent him a message and said if he was going to use someone else's pictures, he should probably pick someone different than Adam Cox. That's how I met him.
That's how you met my brother, Adam?
Correct.
Do you know what perjury is?
Absolutely.
Can I object, Your Honor, to
Question.
argumentative harassment?
Argumentative.
Man, I'm surprised there weren't more objections. I'm going to stop here and bring in two people who might as well have been at a tennis match for all the head-turning action in the courtroom today. Lindsay Haller on the left is the producer of my podcast, Drop Dead Serious, and Gigi McKelvey is the host of the podcast Pretty Lies and Alibis and a longtime friend of the show. I hope you guys weathered that day okay. I'm glad you made it to tonight. Lindsay, I'll start with you. It was like a reality show. I mean, I'm just watching it again through a TV lens. What was it like in the room?
You know, Ashleigh, I think that judge deserves an Oscar because I don't think anyone in that room had a straight face but him. It was an explosive moment. The jury was laughing, and you couldn't, it was like a car crash. You couldn't stop watching. It was happening right in front of you, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Remind me, Gigi, of this jury. It's mostly men. I think it's almost like, I want to say 12, right? If you're including the alternates, I think there's 12 men, 2 women, and then we're losing jurors at the rate of 1 a day, except for today. What were they doing? Like, just describe for me what was going on with their physical persons and how they were reacting to this.
It was like watching a tennis match. They would look at Nancy Jo, they would look at Lori. A couple of times you could see them holding back some giggles. I mean, they were sort of shocked because up until this point, we really have just seen a very muted Lori Daybell, a show for the jury. But this was personal for her. Honestly, Ashleigh, I thought at one point today we were going to get to see how this shock belt worked. I thought she is going to absolutely lose it here soon, and we're going to see her on the ground flopping like a fish. I thought it was coming. But you could tell sort of entertaining for these men on this jury, and even the women that are on there, they were like, whoa. I mean, because it was just like watching a reality show in real time. A couple of times, Ashleigh, I had to bend down like I was tying my shoe because I couldn't keep a straight face. I was like, I'm going to get kicked out of here.
Did she have any idea of the reaction in the courtroom? I can see her only appearing to look forward in the image that we have. But did she know the effect of what she was doing and how that landed with jurors, with the gallery, with the state, with her own lawyers?
I don't think she cared, Ashleigh. I think more than anything, more than this being her questioning a witness, this is Lori being nosy. She wanted to know exactly what Charles told this woman about her and how she was portrayed. She knows it's not going to be good. So I really think Lori didn't care. But if she had eyes in the back of her head, she would have seen all of our eyes wide open and us biting our lips, because it really was ridiculous and desperate. I mean, I talked to everybody during the lunch hour. I was like, she's going to lose it. She has no clue how this looks. But I think that emotion took over, and the pro se Lori went out the window, and she ran with it, and just, it was a runaway train. But Nancy Jo held her own and did a good job by Charles.
And I should remind the viewers, if you missed any of this, Lori is wearing a big sweater, and maybe you can't see her svelte figure because she has that shock belt on. And that's such a weird thing to say, but because she is a convicted killer and she's an inmate and she's a defendant, you can't wear, you know, the handcuffs and the leg irons, but typically as a defendant, you stay seated at defense table. But as her own lawyer, she's operating as her own lawyer, she gets to walk around the well. Therefore, they needed some measure of control over her, which is hence the shock belt. So, Lindsay, let's go back to the notion that she's kind of in a cage match with the woman on the stand who went on a date with her husband, you know, the night before her husband's murdered. I can't help but think that the jury isn't seeing her digging her own grave, pardon the pun, because it looks like this is a woman who's angry at this woman and her husband for going out on a date the night before her husband is murdered. It makes her look guilty. Am I the only one who thinks this?
No, you're not. And not only that, but I think Tammy Daybell would like a word with Lori because she went on a date with her husband. And so this entire time, and eventually Nancy says that, you know, you were having an affair, and you just rolled off Lori's back like a duck in water. But it was shocking to see, truly.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Gigi. Just pull on that thread, because here's Lori pretending there was nothing wrong in her marriage to Charles. All the while, she is sleeping with Chad Daybell, she is sexting with Chad Daybell, and she is plotting to pull those kids out of Arizona and move them up to Idaho, and presumably, since the murders are only months away, kill them in the name of whatever God she follows.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm so glad that the witness got that out today. Well, I mean, he assumed you were having an affair. And the thing is, the jury doesn't know the whole story yet. I mean, we have so many text messages that show the conspiracy, reading between those lines. But Lori had been, I mean, she acted like this loving, caring wife. She hated Charles Vallow. She hated him since January of 2019. And yet she's trying to act like she's the wife of the year who, oh my gosh, my husband went out on a date with you. It was nauseating to hear. It felt dirty, even though they were legally married, to hear her refer to Charles as my husband, because she thought of him as anything but.
And this is a very memorable moment. I would dare say the most memorable moment. So when all that other stuff starts coming out, they will hearken back to this conversation and say, wow, you are a duplicitous, horrible woman. I wouldn't doubt it if you're a murderer too. Oh, right, she is, thrice over. Lindsay Heller, Gigi McKelvey, great work. Thank you for this. Keep it coming. Just keep calling. Keep sending those sound bites our way. Really appreciate it, girls.
Thanks, Ashleigh.